I want today to talk about economics and entrepreneurship. I'm saying economics and entrepreneurship are brothers from different mothers. This is a lecturette, meaning a very short lecture about that topic. You can see economics, the equilibrium, and entrepreneurship, the idea, bulb with ideas. By way of introduction, I'm bringing in Joseph Alois Schumpeter. His great work, The Nature and Essence of Economic Theory. Joseph Alois Schumpeter is actually considered the father of modern entrepreneurship. He was an economist, but he saw things differently from traditional or classical economists. He actually broke ranks with the classical conception of capitalist savings and accumulation as being the most important sources of growth. Instead, he believed that growth was driven by technical innovations in association with the entrepreneur's mobilization of credit in the economic system as a whole. So, Schumpeter's innovation theory of entrepreneurship, developed in 1949, holds that an entrepreneur is one with three major characteristics: innovation, foresight, and creativity. So that's by way of introducing this lecturette. We can now look at the key differences between economics and entrepreneurship. Let's look at the definitions, the popular definitions. Popularly, economics is defined as the study of how best to allocate scarce resources among competing uses. Economics is the study of how individuals and society experiencing virtually unlimited wants choose to allocate their scarce resources to satisfy those wants. Economics, according to Stevenson, a professor at Harvard University, entrepreneurship is the pursuit of opportunity beyond resources controlled. And Bob Race, a practicing entrepreneur, says it is the recognition and pursuit of opportunity without regard to the resources you currently control, with confidence that you can succeed, with the flexibility to change course as necessary, and with the will to rebound from setbacks. The aim of economics is to help the people obtain the greatest possible satisfaction out of the resources at their disposal, which means to do the best they can with what they materially have. The aim of entrepreneurship, on the other hand, is to help people obtain the greatest possible satisfaction out of realization of opportunity, which means to do the best with what they do and don't have, both material and non-material. A short commentary on this. The philosophy of economics is the allocation of existing scarce resources, while entrepreneurship goes beyond the existing resources and philosophizes about the identification of new ones hitherto not existing. 2. Economics is more about creative and innovative thinking, while entrepreneurship is more about doing it creatively and innovatively. So economics is thinking, entrepreneurship is doing. 3. Economics is more about the great philosophers Confucius's statement of I hear and I forget, I see and I remember. But entrepreneurship is more about the same Confucian philosophy of I do and I understand. Economics is more about Bloom's cognitive domain, while entrepreneurship is more about the affective and psychomotor domains. How about the basic law? The basic law of economics is demand and supply, sometimes called market forces, or what Adam Smith called the invisible hand. But entrepreneurship is creative destruction, the law or principle of innovation. The basic assumption: economics assumes a ceteris paribus, holding all other things constant, even in that basic law. Entrepreneurship, not that I know one. I don't know a basic assumption as of now. How about the basic thinking about markets? Economics, in pursuant to the demand and supply law, economics uses the perfect market conditions, thinking that they will force the market price into equilibrium. The market forces, under the perfect market conditions, will equilibrate the price. But in entrepreneurship, the action of entrepreneurs actively create disequilibrium and highlight new profit opportunities that did not previously exist. We sometimes say the entrepreneur is actually the visible hand in the market, unlike the invisible hand by the economists. What's the popular market structure? Under economics, it's actually perfect competition, which preaches many buyers and many sellers, a homogeneous product, perfect market knowledge, free market entry and exit. Firms are price takers, i.e., none controls market price. But for entrepreneurship, it is actually the monopolistic structure, with only a few sellers having differentiated products, with no close substitutes, and enjoying either artificial or natural entry barriers by competition. Firms and entrepreneurship are price makers, that is, they influence the market prices. Commentary: while the basic law of economics preaches equilibrium brought about by market forces, the entrepreneurial creative destruction philosophy preaches continuous innovation that destroys equilibrium. We shall see the demonstration overleaf. 2. The equilibrium of economics is a static state of affairs, while the disequilibrium of entrepreneurship is a dynamic state of affairs. 3. The conditions of perfect market are not realistic, while those of monopolistic situations are actually a reality. Now let us demonstrate the economics general equilibrium. We can see that diagram, the axis vertical price, horizontal quantity, and we have the curves, the demand and supply curves. Remember, the laws governing these curves is all things held constant. The equilibrium price, P asterisk, that's the price that balances quantity supplied and quantity demanded. This is under the ceteris paribus assumption in a perfect market situation. So there we are. That is the equilibrium as preached by economics. Now, in event of excess demand, this is the situation. Below the graphs, when there is excess demand and the price falls to P1, meaning that the too much demand on the market, there is excess demand, so the price falls below P asterisk. We are therefore saying, suppose that the price starts out below the equilibrium level. Disappointed demanders will beat up their price, driving price up, and that is that arrow going back to P asterisk. Now, in event of excess supply, this is now what happens. Suppose price starts out above the equilibrium level, Disappointed suppliers will undercut rivals' prices, driving prices down toward the equilibrium. That is the arrow. So the philosophy here is that those market forces, demand and supply forces, will eventually equilibrate the price, and the price will stabilize at what we are now seeing in this diagram. So the demand and supply, or the market forces, will stabilize the price. This is the philosophy behind economics. All this is based on one, ceteris paribus, holding all other things constant, which I dare say are never held constant. It is also an assumption that this will happen under perfect market conditions. Those perfect market conditions are not a reality in many economies. Now, let us express the entrepreneurship basic model of innovation. Let's take that PLC, product life cycle. The effects of innovation on that product life cycle are what you now see. Continuous innovation destroys the old and replaces it with a new product. We call it constructive destruction. Innovations bring different products to the market, product differentiation as opposed to homogeneous product. The innovator becomes the only one with that product, hence monopoly as opposed to many sellers. Note the absence of decline stage and perfect conditions such as homogeneous product and many sellers. So in entrepreneurship, we say either you innovate or you perish. You see that the dotted graphs show that an entrepreneur continuously innovates and therefore refuses to decline. Therefore, the graph, the PLC, product life cycle, doesn't go to the decline stage but continues growth. So the innovation process diagram can be superimposed here. We say the entrepreneurial goals and context is to stay in business for good. We recognize opportunity, find resources, develop the venture, and create value. Here is an illustration of innovation causing development. These are what we call waves of information. Way back, 1785 to 1845, the first wave of innovation, the iron, the water power, mechanization, textiles, commerce. Between 1845 to 1900, innovation creatively destroyed what we are seeing. Iron was replaced by steam power. The railroad came, steel, cotton. The third wave, electricity, chemicals, internal combustion, and on. In 2020, we are expecting the sixth wave, sustainability, radical resource productivity, whole system design, green chemistry, and so on and so forth. In other words, we can see the practical the side of entrepreneurship, that innovations destroy the technology that was there before and replace them with the new one, and this actually causes or cause development. In conclusion, I want to demonstrate the entrepreneurship economics nexus. I have introduced this figure, puzzle word, a crossword. You can see entrepreneurship and economics in red. We can see the letter E, which is common between entrepreneurship and economics, and along all the letters of entrepreneurship and all the letters of economics, we are generating all the basic terms in entrepreneurship and economics. meaning that both the entrepreneurship and economics terminologies share quite a number of the basic economics and entrepreneurship terminologies. Look at entrepreneurship. Let's start with entrepreneurship. Downward, you say E generates economics. T, we have wants there, value, price needs, demand, money, user, scarcity, supply. In other words, I am proposing that entrepreneurship and economics share a lot, but indeed they are not the same. I want to thank you for watching and listening. I hope that I have assisted you realize that economics and entrepreneurship should not be treated as synonyms and even taught in the same way. I would say economics and entrepreneurship may be twins, but they are not identical twins. So let us treat them differently. Let us teach them differently. Let us not teach economics or entrepreneurship as though we are teaching economics. They are different. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed my lecturate.